dad first. I love being a dad. I just love to see Jessie's journey and how she's helping people, and yeah, we just got a lot of things going on in life.
Yeah. For those of us that have been around Jessie for a while, like I've talked with her a little bit about her journey, and she didn't always start off as this fit person, right? You know, when you met her, she was a graphic designer.
Yeah.
And she wasn't involved in the fitness industry.
Maybe a little bit she was, but
okay.
Yeah, she was actually graphic designing, and then also she was doing a little bit of personal training like in the morning. So she would get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning, which is not Jessie at all.
Yeah.
Like 4:30 to 5 o'clock, and she would peel off and go to this gym in Reno, and she would have like 4 or 5 clients, and then she would come home, and then she would just start cranking on her graphic design work for hours and hours and hours. So, you know, Jessie's always been a workhorse, but she definitely, like what you just said, she definitely wasn't in the actual fitness business full blown when we first met.
From what I understand, you started bodybuilding first, and then she kind of came in after you.
Sure.
Can you
talk about that? When I first kind of got to college, I went to school in Reno, University of Nevada. That's when I kind of got into the weight room type stuff. So I started lifting weights, and I put on all this like really good like muscle weight. I was pretty skinny when I first got to school. Got pretty serious in terms of fitness, of nutrition and training and all that, like my early 20s. I really didn't know what I was doing for the first 5 or 6 years. I was just, you know, just eat everything and lift. And then I actually moved from Phoenix back to Reno, and then I opened up a gym, and I just kind of felt like, you know, I'm in it to win it. Let's diet, let's figure out all this nutritional stuff. I met a whole bunch of really cool people in Reno that compete. And so I got into doing my first show in 2008. And so I did heavyweight bodybuilding in Reno. And it's about the same time that I met Jess. So she was the trainer, like I said. And then she was kind of sitting in the stands, and she kind of felt like, man, this is something that I could maybe jump in and do.
Yeah.
It took me a couple of years in order for her to actually get her on stage. It took a long time because we had a lot of life type stuff happen in between when I did a show and then 2010 when she got on stage. But you know, I mean, her first show pictures were like, you know, she's just like this little spring chicken up there that really didn't know. I mean, her suit didn't fit. I mean, she wasn't dieted to the point where, you know, if you see her like show pictures, you know, a few years ago, or when she ended up turning pro in Las Vegas or whatever, it's just like night and day. And, you know, the really neat part about Jess and her journey is that, yeah, I probably kickstarted a little bit. I got her up on stage. We did one show together where we actually dieted together. But, I mean, she literally has taught herself everything that she knows by trial and error. We've never hired a coach for her. I definitely taught her a few things in the beginning, but I mean, like just countless hours of being up and her researching. So I think that I'm kind of part of the flame, you know, that I started it, but I mean, she just went way past anywhere where I could ever fathom, you know.
Right. Let's go back to the beginning and kind of, were there any early challenges?
The first couple of years that you know, we were together, she wasn't a veteran in the gym by any means. She had a lot of gym anxiety actually, and we used to go to the gym a lot together, and I would actually help her with a lot of the different movements, whether it's in a squat rack or, you know, on the typical equipment, or what to do during cardio. But now it's a little different.
Right, let's kind of fast forward. Now she's competing. From what she mentioned to me is like kind of near the end, it was a little bit more of a struggle because she was always bringing food, it was hard for you guys, because at this point you guys were married, it was hard for you guys to go out and hang out with friends. It was hard for you guys to kind of make those life things happen because she was competing all the time.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about those kind of struggles and what that was like specifically for you?
Yeah. It felt like it was a big struggle back then. In retrospect now, I'm just kind of thinking about like our path and everything that's organically came from starting your first show all the way to, I think she grinded out like 8 shows in 1 year, which is just,
that's incredible,
wild. We went to Vegas and then San Diego, and then we did San Francisco, and then back to LA, and ended up in Miami, and then back to Las Vegas. So it took her a while without hiring coaches and not really even knowing. There was a lot of things that she did wrong in her first 4 or 5 shows, and that's really the reason why she had to do so many shows in order to get to where she needed to be. But that's how she learned everything that she has in her books and her camps, and everything that comes along with it is all just years and years of pulling it all together. There's a lot of things that you really gotta give up, or you have to put in the back seat in order to do really well. And we're talking about shows now, but shows or in business or anything. So you gotta kind of pick your things that you needed to do. And unfortunately, hanging out with friends and having, beers or, whatever it is, a couple times a weekend, or, going on a long vacation with, 4 or 5 other couples to wherever, it just didn't fit. So, it was a real, fitness focus for her on the competition side for a good 2 years. And it was definitely difficult because, all you're doing is you're prepping food and you're trying to, gain weight and then rip it down, and, and then if you have multiple shows, there's, only so many, fun activities you could do in between in order to be
directly after competition, and then that's it.
Totally.
The training mode again, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there where their partner, significant other, whatever, is just not quite on board. And I guess, is there one piece of advice if you were talking to the person that's struggling to support?
Struggling to support.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think that, whether it's fitness or some other thing that's making your significant other tick, it's better for the both of you if the other person is doing what they want to do. If fitness is the example, you got to support them. If you don't get behind that person of what they really want to do in terms of their goals, let's say it's, losing a little bit of weight, the easiest thing to do is to jump on the train and to not necessarily do the same thing, but try to understand the direction that they're going and assist them, because the more that you help in a scenario like that, and the more that they feel better and better about themselves, the easier your relationship's going to be.
Right.
So we definitely, there is definitely a selfish aspect of the show aspect of it, where we did have some struggles, and in terms of the time that we needed, it's just as people rather than this fitness 100% of the time. But in everyday life, letting one eat a little bit different or going to the gym, in the scope of life, it's really a big deal.
Nowadays, so obviously Jessie is kind of in a completely different space. She's obviously still extremely committed to fitness, but not always. What do you say to her when she lacks motivation?
I would never say that she's not motivated. She's kind of moved into this position of running, Jessie's Girls, and this just huge group of women that follow her. And the stories and the posts and everything that you people give back to her, communicating with her about things that she's putting out there, whether it's her books or the things that happen at camp, whether it's the fitness side of it or just her interacting. She's a very, very down-to-earth person. She doesn't really struggle in terms of the motivational thing day to day, because sometimes it's nutrition, Yeah, she has problems with vegetables sometimes. No, we don't have Tupperware chicken and everything like in the house anymore. I mean, we're just kind of like everybody else. Yeah, I think in terms of like the struggles, she just doesn't have any problem getting up, coming to work anymore. She doesn't really feel like it's work.
Yeah.
For the most part, you know.
What do you tell her when she's like, you gotta pump the brakes, you gotta calm down, you gotta just take a step back and maybe, you know, because the business is, you guys have a lot going on.
Sure. You know, and on her side, everything that she does day in, day out, I mean, there's just oodles and oodles of things to do. I mean, she could pack out 5 or 6 camps in different cities like she did last year, and she's gonna pull back on that. And it's specifically because of Samantha, and now that we have another baby on the way. We do discuss a lot of the refocusing of, you know, our path, not necessarily week in and week out, but, you know, like what it's gonna be like in 3 months or 6 months or a year. Whereas you didn't do that when you had family. You know, you just put your head down and just go, you know, balls out until the wheels fall off, you know.
How has your support changed being a dad?
Being a dad, man, being a dad is the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so fun to watch, you know, Sammy grow, and, you know, with our rhythm throughout the day and the week, and, you know, Jessie's schedule and my schedule, you know, I travel a little bit for work. Jessie traveled a lot for the first couple of years, so, you know, my bond with Sammy is, it's unbelievable. It's because I've gotten a lot of time and a lot of weekends where she's been out and about in camps and whatnot, where we've been one-on-one. And, you know, Jessie and I take after being parents. I mean, it's a 50-50 deal.
Yeah.
You know, we're sometimes fighting for time for work, or fighting for time to maybe go to the gym. But
Or a spring training game.
totally, I'm going today.
Yeah.
So, go D-backs.
That's
But, you know, I think that's just how it really works for us, you know. I mean, but we have our struggles too, and trying to figure out, like, you know, who's doing what, when, and where, and how. But the nice part is I start my day really, really early. I think I start at 4:30. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I pack Sam's lunch, and Jessie and I get her ready to go, and then we get her to her little school that she goes to, and then Jessie picks her up, and, you know, has a couple hours in the afternoon one-on-one, and so we have a nice little system, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It'll be fun to see how that new baby.
it's gonna change again, you know, and that's life. That's how it works, you know. You just figure it out. Two busy people. You know, regardless if you're a stay-at-home mom or you're a full-time person, I mean, the communication aspect of it is the most important, you know.
There's people out there soon to be parents. What advice would you give them, you know, as they're about to embark on this
Oh man,
adventure?
dig in.
Yeah.
You know, my thing in the last 2 years is to be as present I can with my time with Sam as she's, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to be as present as possible. You know, I mean, as patient as possible too. It takes a lot of patience. It's a lot of time. You know, and there's plenty of time to work. And, you know, if you can take an extra 15, 20 minutes, you know, with the 2-year-old, let her get out whenever she needs to get out. It makes all the difference in the world. So I just think it's just being present and having as much patience as you can is to be a good parent. She gets really, really hangry person, especially now that she's pregnant, but yeah, we gotta keep her fed for sure.